Good morning. I'm former Mason County Judge Jerry Bearden, and we're fixing to take you on a tour of the refurbished, rebuilt, and restored Mason County Courthouse.
And I'm Cherie Harden, the current Mason County Judge, and we're so glad that you're here with us today to go on this tour. Come on in.
So one of the really neat features that you see when you first walk into the courthouse on the south side are the original plaques that were used to dedicate the courthouse in the early 1900s. These were actually in this spot pre-fire, and there was the cracked piece up there as well. Next to these original plaques is the new plaque that actually is unique in and of itself because during this whole process, we've had a change in elected officials. So on the left-hand side, you can see who was in office in 2021 when this disaster took place. And then on the right side here, you can see who was in office in 2023 to finish up the project. And then down here at the bottom, you can see other entities who were very instrumental in this rebuild project.
One of the things that I learned when I came into office here, the floor tiles were covered up with an inch thick by 3 inch by 8 inch brown tile bricks. But those old tiles were removed and taken out, and they were even out on the porches and on the steps, and all that's been removed and taken back to its original appearance. On the sides, the concrete floor stained red. And then in the center of the main aisles coming from west to east, north to south, you have these square tiles. It's just beautiful. Granted, it's got some age to them, but they are a beautiful part that you only see, and I've only found in 2 courthouses. On the walls here, if you'll look at the walls, you'll see the inlay in the walls. It looks like it's been scrolled in there. These walls here and upstairs in the district courtroom at one time had the old wainscot boards on here, and these boards burned, so they were removed and it was taken back to the original appearance, which is just fantastic. It brightens up the halls, it makes it look a lot neater, and it's back to original.
On the second floor of the courthouse, you will notice that the corridor floor has stains and markings, and this is evidence of the fire. Most of the debris, or much of the debris from the 3rd floor had caved in and had completely covered up this area of the courthouse. As a matter of fact, pre-fire, we had a trash can in this corner that was about this tall. But once we were given approval to come into the courthouse to look at all of the damages, we literally were standing on debris that was almost covering this entire trash can. There was wood, there was just burnt and charred debris all over this. And in keeping with as much historical material as possible, we have decided to keep this corridor with the original tile and let the stains and the markings tell the story from that event and how we can turn something tragic into something beautiful.
Okay, this is the original Mason County Judges Chambers, was built in 1909. It's a whole lot different today than it was in 1909. It's a neat office. We don't have exactly the same colors, the same thing that we used to have in here. And I believe we're going to be having an office for the judge now that'll give her the opportunity. She won't have to have a foot heater, because in the wintertime, with our old 2-foot walls with no insulation in them, this was probably the coldest office in the courthouse. The worst thing about it, I guess, was the night of the fire, when we were working, trying to put the fire out. The ceiling to this office caved in, and this was the last office in the courthouse to catch on fire. And of course, my desk was here and the chair was here, and I had to stand outside the window and watch them be destroyed by the fire. But the office is it's cheery, it's beautiful. I always thought it had the best view in town. But it's a great office. It's going to be a great opportunity for Judge Harden to perform her judge's duties in this office. This is an example of one of the doors of the 7 vault doors that we have and vaults that we have here in this courthouse. There are about 4 of these on the bottom floor, the rest of them on the top floor. They have been completely restored. The fire burned the paint off of them, but we did have one of them here in the courthouse that was not destroyed, and we were able to use it as a sample. But beautiful doors, heavy doors. When you come and look at these and you see the detail on them and see how they're put together, they're just fantastic. This particular room in the courthouse is the Commissioner's Courtroom. And this is where we had our meetings of Commissioner's Court. Normally our meetings were twice a month. On the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month, we would meet here with the 4 commissioners, the judge, and then we would have all of our elected officials. On the walls over here, we had wainscoting on the inside of the walls, but they took the wainscoting out and restored it to the original walls. Some things that have been changed here in the commissioner's courtroom, first of all, is the security system. We have a new updated security system that has been added to the commissioner's courtroom. Video cameras in the corner that we can video the meetings and then come back and see if there were any issues that weren't addressed or were not addressed properly. They have updated this facility tremendously. It's much better lighting. We have a new video screen in here. A lot of times we would have to have people outside because we didn't have enough room to have that many people come in, so we would have to allow so many people to come in at a time. And then if you had a large contingent of the public, we would have to adjourn and move upstairs to the district courtroom. But this is the room that all commissioners' courts met at for 110 years, right here in this commissioner's courtroom.
Back in the day, this entire structure was located in the sheriff and tax assessor collector's office. And eventually that office became the Justice of the Peace office. And at some point in that transition, the top part of this structure went away. We're not sure exactly what happened to it. So leading up to pre-fire, just the bottom part of the counter was part of the Justice of the Peace office. After the fire, we had to relocate offices because of our growth in county government. And so this office has now become the Justice of the Peace. And so the thought was, if we're going to relocate this counter, we might as well restore it to its original beauty and rebuild the entire piece. So as you can see, this is the entire piece that is now located in the Justice of the Peace office on the southeast corner of the courthouse.
The room that we're in now, here in the restored courthouse, will be the county treasurer's office. And that office has expanded also with multiple assistants, and with the person that's in charge of county affairs with personnel will be also working in this office. A great office. It is one of the few offices here in the courthouse that was not totally burned by the fire on February the 4th, 2021. That's because we had that south wind, and the main damage that this office suffered was from water damage. The floors in this courthouse, originally the beautiful longleaf pine. Longleaf pine, as many people know, I know years ago, there was something like 90 million acres, longleaf pine trees in the United States. It reached from Texas all the way to Florida. But these floors here, we had carpets over these floors. They were installed years ago. The restoration people went in here and redid these floors, resanded them, restained them, and they're back to the beautiful appearance of the longleaf pine that we have now. All right, this particular room we call the break room. It will have a table, chairs in it. We had a coffee maker in here. Many of the elected officials and employees often ate their lunch in here. We also use this room for attorneys to consult with clients when they had some type of court hearing, possibly a probate hearing or even a misdemeanor or felony hearing, they could sit in here. Here we have an example of our beautiful fireplace. We have multiple fireplaces here in the courthouse. This one particularly happens to have the yellow color. We have the green color and the blue color also. They have a wood-like appearance to them, but they're made of metal. Now, originally, you could open the fireplace and look inside it, and even when we had the fire, inside these old fireplaces was still wood ash from the original times that they were used. But it's a wonderful little room for people to meet, gather, have lunch.
Another improvement to this courthouse is the improved elevator system. It no longer has ingress and egress from the hallway, but a nice chase or little elevator lobby was created, which did take space away from two offices, one on the bottom floor and one on the second floor from the district judge's office. But this elevator allows public access to the second floor, in which you could enter the district courtroom, and then access to the balcony would be up the stairs from that second floor corridor.
Now our stairway here, we have two stairways going up to the district courtroom. And then I've had a rumor one time, a judge told me in his courthouse, the reason they put two stairways going up to the district courtroom was because after they had a civil trial or some sort of trial or something where the people didn't get along, one side could go down and leave, and the other side could go down on the other side and leave the district courtroom. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's why we have two stairs here. Not the original, but the stairs for years and years were covered with carpet. And we really had an issue with the carpet because several times people would stumble, trip, and fall on the carpet. So now we've gone back to the original concrete steps, and I think it's going to be much safer.
Behind me to the right is the district judge's suite, and you'll notice the addition of the glass door. And this is a door that secures the entire suite, 3 offices behind the door. And originally, pre-fire, this door did not exist. However, the Texas Historical Commission did approve for a door as long as it was a glass door. And the reason why it has to be a glass door is because of the continuation of the historic floor through this hallway.
So we're standing now in the district judge's office, and this office actually has changed shape drastically since pre-fire. The reason why it's smaller is because of the elevator behind this wall that has changed orientation with the rebuild process. If the district judge would have stayed in his original office from pre-fire, he would have only had this much space. Pre-fire, there was a wall right here, and you can probably see it on the ceiling, this white partition. One thing that's interesting, going back up to the ceiling, is you'll notice 2 different colors of crown molding. Back when we were preparing for the actual restoration, the architects came in and did their discovery and discovered these wonderful, brilliant, bright colors that they've now painted our crown molding.
One of the most unique things about the Mason County Courthouse is this metal spiral staircase. A lot of people don't even know it exists, but what it does, it gives you access actually to the very top floor. It goes up from here, from the former county clerk's office. It'll go up to the second floor where you have a door that accesses this staircase behind the judge's bench. The problem was there was only 2 ways to get to this staircase, and that was here and behind the district judge's office. And nowadays they have a new door going up through the top that'll give you access. But it's really a 110-year-old staircase. Fantastic. We're currently in an area little known by the public. This is a dormitory area up above the district courtroom. If you look down below us to my right, you can look down and observe the district courtroom. It has a fireplace in it, one of the probably one of the more beautiful fireplaces that we have here in the courthouse. The windows look out from the south side of the courthouse. This was a dormitory back when the courthouse was first built, and women were not allowed to serve on a jury. So if you had to sequester a jury, they had access to this area here, had a restroom on the west side, and the jurors would spend the night. They'd be fed up here, and they would be housed here and start with the judge the next day for the trial. Now we have the opportunity to come upstairs and visit in the district courtroom. When you look at this courtroom, it's beautiful, it's airy, it's been completely restored because in this particular room, everything was destroyed the night of the fire. The judge's bench, the judge's chair, behind the judge's bench, the pews, the attorney's desk, the jury box, the witness stand, all of these things have had to be rebuilt. And again, we were very, very fortunate that we had records and working with the Historical Commission and the architects, we had ideas on how to rebuild all of this. Now, back again, like we said, in the 70s, whenever it was, the whole district courtroom in here, this part was covered with carpet. Now it's been exposed to the longleaf pine. Along the walls on the side, the wainscoting has been taken off, the wood has been taken off and restored to the original walls. Upstairs, you'll see the windows of the dormitory. We have the balcony restored, the blinds, the jury room in here. All of this has been completely rebuilt, restored. The judge's bench has been restored to it's pretty close to its original. The same thing with the background to the judge's bench. All of these things have been rebuilt, restored, and it's just made a beautiful courtroom. It's just amazing. The lighting fixtures, the colors, the atmosphere of the courtroom.
It's kind of surreal to walk in now, 3 years after the fire, because it looks the same with the exception of the colors. You'll notice the beautiful furniture that is new, however, was built to look old as it was pre-fire. Behind me here is the judge's bench, and every piece has been made with a lot of detail, and the intricacies have been restored. In addition to this fabulous room being used as a courtroom, we also use this room to hold meetings where we expect large crowds. For example, if we're expecting a large crowd with the Commissioner's Court meeting, we will relocate that meeting to this room so that our audience could be accommodated on these benches.
We have this opportunity now to work in the district courtroom up in the restored balcony. This area up here, it's been completely rebuilt, reinforced. The pews, as we might call them, or benches, have been restored. They all were destroyed in the fire, but they've been restored, placed back up here. The flooring has been redone. We do have these little pieces of safety glass here in the areas where to keep people from leaning over too far or falling over. For years, we never used this area up here because we didn't feel like it was safe. We used it to store Christmas materials, but we didn't think we could have a lot of people up here because of it just wasn't weight bearing enough. But it can be used now. It has a beautiful view of the courthouse, the courtroom. You get to look down on all the proceedings. It's just an area that a lot of courthouses don't have them. You go to look at the one in Glasscock County, they don't have a balcony. When these folks put this together, the braces down beneath it are big old pipes, inch thick, holding it up. Area for lighting up in here, ceiling areas. It's just a great restored area for the district courtroom.
Prior to the fire, the courthouse had been selected for a restoration grant, but because of the fire, we were able to actually rebuild and make some improvements to the building. Part of those improvements is to bring the building up to code and to meet certain ADA requirements. You'll notice here in the jewelry box, we have, it looks to be the absence of a seat here, but that is actually a place where we could allow for a wheelchair or some other specialized chair for a juror who might have that particular need. Also, in this regard, prior to the fire, we had the ramp that allowed for wheelchair accessibility into the building. It was relocated from the west side of the courthouse over here to the east side of the courthouse. And another reason why that is so important is because of the public restrooms that are over on the east side of the courthouse. Prior to February 4th, 2021, our courthouse was not equipped with safety and protective features. But since then, with the rebuild, you can see that we do have those systems now set in place. We have a fire suppression system from the floor all the way up to the cupola to bring us up to code and to modern standards. And here we are on the third floor, which you can see is where our steel structure is, and all of our air ducting, our mechanical systems are up here, and this is vastly different than pre-fire. Pre-fire, there was a lot more space up here and everything was wooden, that old dry wood, which is what made that fire burn so incredibly hot that night. And above us, just a little bit more, a little higher up, is the fabulous cupola that you can see from the outside of the courthouse. Another fascinating feature about the cupola is it was actually constructed in Canada, Toronto, Canada, by Heather and Little, and was transported to Mason in pieces. There were pieces of the cupola on the south side of the courthouse in the parking lot, and we got to watch day by day them piecing the cupola together. In April of 2023, we got to watch the cupola rise to the top of the courthouse. So pre-fire, one of the unique characteristics of this courthouse was the bell. And unfortunately, during the fire, the bell did not survive and it fell to the third floor, and it was in a shape that was unrepairable. And so we had to replace the bell and decided to go with a more modern system where we can control the time a little, better so that it keeps accurate time. And then also it has the feature of being able to chime in different tones. We've chosen the one that we think is the closest to the pre-fire chime.
If you look and see on each corner of the courthouse, except over here in the northeast corner where the Memorial Square is, we have lights. So we had to research the history, found some pictures, and with Glenn Lundquist, our project manager, we were able to come up with replicas of the lamppost. The Riata Club sorority had tried for several years to, Tess Geiswhite was the leader of this, and tried to gather up some funds to replace these lights, these lampposts. And she's thrilled to death now that at night when you drive around here, you see the lamppost lit up. The exterior grounds certainly look the best that they have ever appeared. We've had a few changes with our sidewalk curbing. We don't have the curbs next to the sidewalk out on the north side anymore. The south sidewalk, it's really smooth, it's nice.
The exterior colors are a little bit different than we remember pre-fire. However, through studying photographs and through the discovery process with the architects, these colors that you see have been determined to be historically accurate, provide some true contrast. You have some light tones and some dark tones, and after the rebuild all came together, we received compliments on the beauty of our courthouse daily from those who live in Mason and those who are just passing through.
These people, when they built this courthouse, they knew what they were doing. And some of the changes that were made to go back to the historical aspect of the courthouse, it's really helped.